So, good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening, depending on where you're catching up with us from today. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you have had a good day. I hope that you had a happy Saturday. I am well. I had a good day today. I managed to get myself back into running mode, and I was able to do my first proper run for the year, which is something that I'm really super grateful for. When I manage to get those runs done early in the morning, it helps me quite a lot, and I can't take it for granted. So I'm just coming along quite quickly and quite very short recording today. As I said, after the challenge, I'm spending time on recuperating, getting back onto the things that I haven't been able to do during the challenge. And so I'm getting myself slowly and slowly back into the mode of kind of recovery mode before I get myself into so many different things. And so today I'm coming just along. As I said, I will be doing a recording most likely, if I am able to, once a week, which will either be on a Friday night or a Saturday, because I just don't want to like rush it, and neither do I want to disconnect from my tribe. So to keep it more frequent, keep it more easygoing for myself and for everyone, I'll literally try to do a video once a week, and then I can do like shorts and other things in between. But like proper recording or proper live streaming will be once a week, which will be either Friday night or it will be on a Saturday afternoon. So today I had a privilege of being able to speak to some ladies at our church, which is really challenging, or because they are quite like older ladies, people who have walked with God for quite a long duration of time. And I remember even when I started talking to them, the first thing I said is I should be learning from them rather than me talking to them, because there are people in their 90s, 80s, 60s. I think like they weren't really any 30s and things like that, which is kind of really nice. And I was just talking to them, I basically started to realize something that I thought I'm going to talk about it here. Obviously, I'll not be able to explore it in details. It's something that I want to be able to make a proper recording or video on it. But I just was thinking about the hearts of men. And of course, if you really want to have a healthy life, total wellness does include the condition of your heart. And I'm just thinking about something that I heard somebody saying, heart people, heart people. So if your heart is constantly hurt and you're hurt by different people and different situations and things like that, you can easily become somebody that unknowingly does hurt people. And that's why I was thinking about it, and I was wondering, somebody once ever said, if you're not careful, if you're carrying around hurts, and if you're carrying around those heart wounds, you can actually bleed on people that never hurt you in the first place. Have you ever been with people that just like treat you like, or they basically mistreat you, or they do things and you're wondering, I did not do any of those things. Why am I on the receiving end of your wrath or your anger? Is because sometimes if you're not careful, when people hurt you or when people do something to your heart that actually causes you to be affected in one way or the other, you can easily begin to kind of push that to other people. Like for some of us who are parents, have you ever heard like a conflict maybe between the two of you, and then the people who will always be on the receiving end are the children? Or maybe if I am really upset at work, sometimes I've come home and it's my family who should be the last people receiving this, who end up receiving that. I'll come home with a bad attitude. I'll come home feeling very despondent, feeling very upset. And I'm just really like, my attitude, as I said, is terrible. I'm not really talking much, right? Like really okay the way I want to. And I'm allowing whatever that has happened. I've been hurt somewhere else, and I'm coming home to bleed it on my family. I'm coming home to bleed it on my husband or my child or things like that. And that's one thing that I realized today as I was talking to these women. I just like, you know what? We need to guard our hearts. We need to be careful with things like offense, where we get offended or we get hurt, and then we decide before we realize, knowingly or unknowingly, we start transferring that hurt to people that never hurt us in the first place. Our hearts are the source of everything, right? It's the juiciness of life is set in our hearts. And so we can I've always said this: you can drink your water, you can do your exercise, you can eat healthily, but if you're not healthy in your heart and in your mind, you're not healthy at all. And how can you be healthy in your heart when you're holding on things like unforgiveness, on things like bitterness, on things like resentment, on things like people hurting you? And you know what? I love what Edith Eger said one time. I have a book that she's wrote that constantly really speaks to me so much. I'll see if I can get that in the end. And she talks about something that is very interesting. She's written a book. It's a good read if you want to read it. And the book is about the choice, embrace the possible. And she says something that was really, it struck me today again, thinking again about it, which is a book that I've read in the past. And she says this: suffering is universal, but victimhood is optional. There is a difference between victimization and victimhood. We are all likely to be victimized in some way in the course of our lives. At some point, we will suffer some kind of affliction or calamity or abuse caused by circumstances or people or institutions over which we have little or no control. This is life, right? But then she continues and says, and this is victimization. It comes from outside. It's something external and not internal, right? She goes on and says, it comes from outside. It's the neighborhood bully, the boss who rages, the spouse who hates, the lover who cheats, the discriminatory law, the accident that lands you in the hospital. In contrast, victimhood comes from inside. No one can make you a victim but you. No one can make you a victim, but you've already said that. We become victims not because of what happens to us, but when we choose to hold on to our victimization, we develop a victim's mind, a way of thinking and being that is rigid, blaming, pessimistic, stuck in the past, unforgiving, punitive, and without healthy limits or boundaries. We become our own jailers when we choose the confines of the victim's mind. And these are the things that when we allow ourselves to constantly see ourselves as victims, to see ourselves as people that are always on the receiving end, we end up going into places and spaces of becoming unhealthy and having unhealthy hearts, unhealthy relationships. And we end up literally bleeding on people that never hurt us in the first place. So next time you are tempted to start behaving in a given way as a means of trying to reach out to show or to show people that you've been hurt and things like that, just try to think, when I'm showing a bad attitude to my husband or to my son or to my students or to whoever, I should just take that break and think, Claire, are these the people that have hurt you? Or are you allowing yourself to bring into the equation people that never hurt you? Situations do happen. We have places and spaces where we will be hurt, where we will hurt other people. But we need to be very careful, because if we drink our water, as I said, if we do our exercise, if we run and do whatever we can do, but if you're not healthy, which starts from deep within our hearts, we'll easily find ourselves with bitterness, with resentment, and things like that. And there's I've heard of a story of a woman that literally had cancer, and she goes to church, and she was really very unwell, had been given, I think it was stage 4 cancer. She gets to church, they preach, and there's a word of knowledge that comes and says, like, she's holding on unforgiveness and bitterness. She was asked to go and forgive. She goes and forgives and gets completely healed, starts from a clean slate of life. Could it be that that thing that you are holding on is the thing that is making you not to have a healthy heart? An unhealthy heart is actually even making you not to be able to lose weight. Maybe you're holding on to that, you're not able to actively exercise, or you have a wrong relationship with yourself, with your body. And there's just a simple invitation. Would you let go? And let go. Would you let go of that thing? Would you forgive? And would you allow yourself, next time you're tempted to start bleeding on people that didn't hurt you, just take a minute and think, Claire, let's rewind, let's refocus, and let's not allow ourselves to become victims and then start transferring that to people that we love. This hopefully was helpful. If it has been, as usual, thank you so much for the love and the support you continue to give us. If you haven't done so, I will appreciate if you just hit that like, share, or subscribe button. That will go a long way in supporting what we're doing. And as usual, thank you so much for every help and every support. We really appreciate it. And if you've never made that commitment, as I always say, to know Jesus, who is the source of the healing of the heart, it will be my great privilege and pleasure just to invite you to say, it is as simple as saying, under the sounding voice, I invite you into my heart to be Lord and Savior. And that's as simple as it gets. Have a great evening, and I shall catch up with you again next week on Saturday when I bring another topic of discussion. Have a great weekend and see you soon. Goodbye.